Hello, my name's Ashley Cotton and I'm the Programme Manager but also a course lead and teaching fellow at Staffordshire University, primarily for the Step Up to Higher Education course. And the reasons why I'm saying hello during this webinar today is just to give you a real kind of flavour and heads up as to what the university offers. A range of learners who perhaps never really saw university that was something that was obtainable or achievable, and supporting them with their next stages of their professional development, whether that be through an undergraduate degree or a apprenticeship course as well. And ultimately, my role at the university is quite exciting, and I get to work with a range of different students who perhaps might have taken a lot of time out of education to have families. Maybe they've had quite professional careers and they've come to a point where they feel as though they can't progress any longer. I have students who perhaps haven't done anything since school or college, and they all start their journey primarily through the Step Up to Higher Education course, and ultimately then move on to a range of courses after that, from nursing, from computing, from business, from law, a complete and utter raft of courses that the students go on to. So you might be finding yourself thinking, okay, right, I'm a little bit of a crossroads of my life. I don't know where to go. I don't know the next steps I want to take in order to kind of get to that next goal, and also ultimately to see what opportunities are out there as well. So hopefully through today's webinar as such, I'll give you a bit of a feel as to what the course is about, but also some of the students that we've supported over the last couple of years in supporting them to get them to their kind of careers that they want to go on to. And it's really fulfilling because we do start with students who say, right, okay, Ashley, I want to be a paramedic. I don't know how to get there. They come on to the Step Up course and move on to their associated programme. Then we see our students get to the careers that they want to go on to. So it's something really nice to consider should you be thinking, okay, I don't know where I want to go. Okay. And I don't certainly think oftentimes we get a little bit confused as to what we want to do in life, if you're anything like me, and I think that's more than okay, but also use the opportunity as something that you can go on to develop and see where you want to take the next stages of your career ultimately. So in terms of what the Step Up to HE course offers, it is quite a short, intensive level 3 course, which is normally about preparing a student or learners for university level study ultimately. And upon successful completion, it is a University Foundation Certificate of Credit, of which is at level 3 and will provide 30 credits at level 3 for you to then use for associated programmes at Staffordshire University. So whether that be a degree apprenticeship or on an undergraduate degree, and we can help with that kind of application process and on top of that as well. But ultimately, what the course is really about is providing a really enjoyable but also a really enriching and satisfying learning experience for a student who perhaps really hasn't done any study for a while and is a little bit unsure about how to approach the next stages as to what they want to do, because going to university is quite a scary prospect for most, and I can completely vouch with that entirely. So having the ability to do a course before you actually jump straight into a degree is quite good, because you're able to develop those skills before you move forward onto the next stages. And I think that's really good because you can do that within a safe, supportive and happy, nice environment. Probably one of the good things about the Step Up to HE course as well is that it's free of charge, so there's no cost attached to studying the programme, so there's nothing that you need to worry about in terms of finding any student finance to kind of fund your study. But ultimately, as a programme itself, in addition to the kind of confidence building which I've talked about, we aim to develop probably more so core academic skills, critical thinking skills, essay writing and composition. So ultimately, by the end of the program, as a student, you should know exactly how to write an academic assignment. So when you go on to the degree then, or your program that you wish to progress onto, you're going to make your life a little bit easier because you've already got that kind of rucksack of skills which you can take forward onto the next stages of your kind of learning journey. And that's really crucial because you know, having course leaders across the university speak to me quite regularly, they always comment on how well prepared Step Up to HE students are in comparison to students who haven't completed it. So you are going to set yourself on a lot better stead ultimately to ensure that you've got the right skills before you go on to a particular degree or particular apprenticeship that you want to go on to. As a program itself, we are split over around about 10 weeks. So we have the first 5 weeks, which is module 1, which is quite a self-reflective module. Okay, so within the assessment, you are to write a self-reflective assignment. Ordinarily, after that point, we break for half term because a lot of our students are mature and they have careers, they have children, they have commitments, which I'm completely aware of. So we are quite flexible in our nature and approach. So ultimately, I know people have got lives outside of learning and university. So we're completely aware and compassionate to that. So we normally break for the half term. And following on from that, well, then we come back for the second 5 weeks, which is more about objective writing skills, which is the type of skills that you will need to have mainly for undergraduate degrees, but also apprenticeship degrees as well, which we cover on the course as well. In addition to the writing, we get students kind of researching at a higher level. So not just looking at newspapers, not just looking at articles, but kind of developing their research skills. So when they go onto a degree, they are well informed, but also using authoritative sources to develop their thinking, their arguments, and your ideas ultimately. In addition to the research, because they kind of go hand in hand, you've got referencing skills, which are really vital. And referencing kind of does scare people ultimately, but with a bit of practice and a bit of teaching and a bit of, you know, doing it on an assignment, it does become second nature. But referencing generally just puts students off. It puts the world of fear into students. So just to reassure you, it gets easier, especially if you're doing it in an environment where you can test out those skills as well. So in addition to the kind of core content on the program, we are thinking more about developing your autonomy, but also ensuring that you're a real independent learner, because when you go to university, it's more about what you want to learn, but also not being kind of, you know, mollycoddled as such. So when you go onto a degree, you are in charge of your own learning, and that's what university is about ultimately. And again, I'm going to touch upon the point of confidence building. That's probably my favourite thing about the programme, is that as a learner, it will develop your confidence ultimately, should it be something that you want to kind of go for as well. In terms of kind of course start, we facilitate the course on a Monday and Tuesday from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. And that runs for 10 weeks ultimately. So say if you're not working at the moment and you're happy to do a day course, then we can facilitate that. But also in addition to that, we do have an evening course which will start at 4 p.m. then run till 8 p.m. should you be working or should you have commitments in the day that you can't do a day course itself. So there's two different options as to what you can study, and should you wish to apply directly, at the bottom of the presentation right there, you've got a URL link which will take you directly to the course webpage, which is available on Google. Conversely, you can just type in Step Up to Higher Education, it should come up ultimately, then you can apply directly. But if you have any questions and you would like to get in touch, you can get in touch at any time. I'm more than happy to have a chat with any of you who might have some questions about how you might manage the course, what's involved, and whether it's going to get you to where you want to be ultimately. You have got an email address of stepup@staffs.ac.uk, which is our generic email address, but ultimately you can email me directly, and my email address is also there. So you've got ashley_cotton@staffs.ac.uk. So if you drop me an email at any time, very happy to get some time in the diary whenever's convenient with you. Then we can have a bit of a chat and a chinwag to see, where you want to go and whether we can support that ultimately. But in a nutshell, the course is for students who are thinking about going to university, might be at a crossroads, and you might want to dip your toe in the water to see what university's like, to see whether it's going to be something for you. Now the nitty gritty of the kind of generic kind of course stuff's out of the way, I just wanted to share a few kind of success stories that we've had with students over the years in supporting them to get to their careers and the particular professions that they've gone into, really. And I think this is really refreshing because most of these students said to me at the very start this is what they wanted to do, and that's where they've got to. So starting with the very first chap on the left, there's a chap called Dan, and I met Dan, about 4 years ago now, and it was through probably the Stoke-on-Trent City Council Adult Learning Partnership that we have. And Dan was doing his level 2s in English and Maths before going on to Step Up. And Dan said to me, Ashley, I really want to be a paramedic, but A, I don't feel confident enough, and B, I don't feel clever enough. So I looked at Dan, I was like, I don't really agree with you there, Dan. So I said to Dan, finish your level 2s, come on to Step Up to HE, let's give it a whirl, see how you do, then we'll take it from there. So Dan successfully finished his level 2s, which are a requirement of paramedic science. He then came on to Step Up, did exceptionally well, even though he thought he wasn't very academic, which was not right and which was wrong. Dan then applied to do his paramedic course whilst doing Step Up and studying with us. Then at the time the paramedic course was 2 years long, so he's now finished his paramedic science degree, and before he even graduated in the autumn he was already offered a job with West Midlands Ambulance Service as a fully qualified paramedic, and it's so satisfying to see Dan, because I invariably catch up with him on a few occasions, and Dan has the most amazing personal qualities that would make a fantastic paramedic. So say if I was in a car accident, I would like Dan to show up because he's compassionate, he's very empathetic, he's just an excellent kind of candidate for being an impactful paramedic. So we do take into account not only just academic stuff, but also, and it's about your personal qualities and what you can kind of develop and add to the role, because a lot of the jobs out there do require personal qualities that you've probably amassed through work experience and through life experience. So that's something that we really value at Staffordshire University, and something that I really want to make a point at, because you will have life experience which you can bring towards university level study in whatever form you wish to take. Following on from Dan, a lady called Jess, and Jess studied her creative writing and English course with us, and she graduated and has gone on to publish 2 short stories, which is fantastic because that's what she wanted to do ultimately. And Jess started university at the time when she had a rather small child who's her daughter, and I remember her daughter being quite small, and when I catch up with Jess now, I can't believe how much she's grown. So another success story through one of our students who's done well and gone on to what they want to do. But lastly, a chap called Joe, and Joe's wearing his cap and gown there. So I met Joe, around about 4 years ago again, and he said to me initially, because he didn't do very well in his GCSEs and he didn't have any A levels, he said, I really want to be a solicitor, but I don't feel as though I'll be taken seriously within the legal profession. So I kind of reassured Joe at the time. He then moved on to his LLB in law, which is 3 years long after completing Step Up. He was a fantastic student, did very well. As he was coming to the final throngs of his degree, he basically applied for a scholarship with Gray's Inn, and that's an inn of law based in London. It's probably one of the country's most prestigious inns of law, but also probably in the world as well. And Joe was successful in gaining a scholarship of £14,000, and it's the Prince of Wales Scholarship, and basically that's to support his progression to be a fully qualified barrister. So this is someone who said to me, I want to be a solicitor, and now he's on his way to becoming a barrister, and he'll be an excellent barrister. But again, it goes back to, you know, those niggly self-doubting beliefs that we all have as human beings, which we have to work through. And Joe, you know, at the time was held back because he didn't have the academic qualifications, but you know, he's done amazingly well. And this is a story that I see very often. We do doubt our abilities because of previous learning experience, or you know, lack of qualifications that we've not got. And you know, it doesn't say a lot, because these fantastic individuals have been able to get to where they want to be with the hard work and effort, and that's what we can support you to do. So if you've got any ambitions as to where you want to get with your career, or the next stages of your kind of, you know, your ambitions or your hopes or dreams for the future, then the Step Up course is worth considering as a kind of avenue into university ultimately.